August 2nd, 2025. The world wakes up to this. Pause. Donald Trump has just ordered nuclear submarines into position after Russia issued what he called highly provocative statements about nuclear war. Are we witnessing the most dangerous escalation between nuclear superpowers since the Cuban Missile Crisis? To understand how we got here, we need to go back just days ago when Trump issued Russia an ultimatum: end the Ukraine war in 10 days or face massive tariffs. But Russia's response wasn't about trade, it was about nuclear annihilation. Dmitry Medvedev, once considered a moderate voice in Russian politics, has transformed into Putin's most dangerous attack dog. His Thursday statement wasn't diplomatic posturing, it was a direct nuclear threat. Trump should remember that Moscow possessed Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort, he declared. This wasn't subtle. This wasn't coded. This was Russia reminding America that they have weapons capable of ending civilization as we know it. The man who once dined with Western leaders was now essentially saying, "Don't test us, or we'll turn your cities to ash." Trump's response was swift and unprecedented. Within hours, he announced the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines to appropriate regions. But here's what makes this terrifying. No U.S. president in modern history has publicly announced submarine movements in response to nuclear threats. These aren't just any submarines, they're Ohio-class Leviathans, each carrying up to 24 Trident missiles, capable of delivering multiple thermonuclear warheads anywhere on Earth. Trump just made America's nuclear deterrent visible, tangible, and terrifyingly real. But here's the chilling truth military experts don't want you to know. Those submarines were already there. Hans Christensen from the Federation of American Scientists revealed the uncomfortable reality. US nuclear subs are always positioned to strike Russia. They don't need to be moved, they're perpetually ready for nuclear war. So why did Trump announce this? Because he's playing a psychological game where the stakes are human extinction. He's turning America's hidden nuclear sword into a visible threat, and that changes everything. This all started with Trump's bold gambit. Give Russia 10 days to end the Ukraine war or face crushing tariffs. It was vintage Trump, aggressive, simple, with a clear deadline. But Putin's regime didn't blink. Instead, they escalated to nuclear rhetoric. Trump thought he was playing economic hardball. Russia responded by reminding him they have weapons that make tariffs irrelevant. When your opponent has 6,000 nuclear warheads, trade threats lose their impact. Putin essentially called Trump's bluff and raised the stakes to apocalyptic levels. Dmitry Medvedev's transformation is one of the most sinister political evolutions of our time. This is the same man who once promised to modernize Russia, who worked with Obama on nuclear reduction treaties. Now he's become Putin's nuclear mouthpiece, saying things too dangerous for even the Russian president to utter directly. It's a calculated strategy. Let Medvedev make the most extreme threats while Putin maintains plausible deniability. Medvedev has become the perfect weapon, a former president who can threaten nuclear war without officially representing current Russian policy. The US Navy's refusal to comment on Trump's submarine announcement reveals a terrifying protocol breach. Submarine locations are among America's most classified secrets. Their invisibility is their power. By acknowledging their movement, Trump has violated decades of strategic ambiguity. These Ohio-class submarines are floating cities of destruction, each one carrying more firepower than was used in all of World War II. The fact that a president publicly referenced their deployment means we've crossed into uncharted and dangerous territory. Arms control experts are sounding alarms that are being drowned out by political theater. Daryl Kimball called Trump's response irresponsible and inadvisable, warning that juvenile nuclear threats on social media could trigger catastrophic miscalculations. These aren't partisan critics. These are the people who spend their lives preventing nuclear war. When they say we're in dangerous territory, we should listen. But in our era of political polarization, expert warnings get lost in the noise of social media drama and partisan point scoring. Hans Christensen identified the most dangerous aspect of Trump's gambit: the commitment trap. By publicly announcing submarine deployments, Trump has painted himself into a corner. If Russia escalates further, he'll face pressure to follow through with increasingly aggressive responses. It's nuclear game theory in real time. Once you make threats public, backing down becomes politically impossible. Trump may have intended this as a show of strength, but he's actually limited his own options and increased the likelihood of further escalation. While Trump and Medvedev trade nuclear threats on social media, Vladimir Putin remains strategically silent. This isn't coincidence, it's calculated. Putin understands that every word from a nuclear powers leader carries weight that could trigger markets, military responses, or international crises. By staying quiet, he lets Medvedev play the villain while maintaining his image as the reasonable statesman. Meanwhile, his silence on Trump's 10-day deadline sends its own message. Russia won't be bullied by ultimatums, even from the world's most powerful nation. But here's the moment that changes everything. August 8th is just days away. Trump's arbitrary deadline is approaching, and Putin shows no signs of compliance. What happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? What happens when a president who never backs down faces a dictator who can't afford to look weak? Building tension. We're about to find out if nuclear deterrence still works in the age of social media, or if we're witnessing the beginning of humanity's final chapter. In 1962, the world came within hours of nuclear war because of miscommunication and pride. Today, we face the same human failings, but with social media acceleration and political polarization added to the mix. The submarines Trump ordered are already in position. They always were. But by making them visible, he's changed the game forever. The next few days will determine whether we step back from the brink or cross a line that can never be uncrossed. What do you think happens next? Are we witnessing masterful brinksmanship or dangerous escalation toward nuclear conflict? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over, and what happens next will define our world for generations to come.